It was night 1 of 3 for the Kaukauna Area School District's first Future Strong Summit. Over 300 people throughout the community RSVP'd for the event.
Each person came with their own story and opinions, all with the common goal of shaping the future of the district. New at 10, Samantha Cavalli joins us in the newsroom with how the Future Strong Summit came to be. Samantha.
Well, Cammie and Bill, Superintendent Mike Slowinski says he attended a convention where these types of conversations similar to the Future Strong Summit were held and brought the idea back to Kaukauna schools, hoping it would be a perfect fit for the community. Now, a part of those over 300 people who RSVP'd, there's community members, students, faculty, staff, parents, alumni, local business leaders, and administrators, all with the hopes of determining future priorities and direction for the district within the next 5, 10, even 15 years. Slowinski says the summit is an opportunity to bring people together and collaborate through various activities to look at the past, present, and determine the vision of the future for Kaukauna area schools. He says school touches almost every aspect of a community.
Ultimately, it came from the idea that there are so many forces in society that pull a community apart. And when we don't have community or strong communities, that's when I think finger pointing, an us versus them mentality can arrive. And rather than letting that happen, I think that this is an opportunity for our community to actually come together.
Now, if you missed tonight's night one of the event, you still have tomorrow evening from 5:30 to 9 p.m. and again on Saturday from 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Cammie?
Samantha.